Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Game Over. Today is March 7th, 2022, and it is nice and cold outside. Pretty cool, but not as cool as you are if you have one of the new Game Over water bottles. We've got the squeeze top plastic white ones, and we've got the clear ones with the removable lid, both available on Game Over. And today, the big question that is a very complex answer: who owns Spider-Man? So let's get started on Game Over. All right, we're going to give a big shout out to some of our viewers today. That would be Abigail, Jay, and Asher. How you guys doing? Thanks for watching. We also want to mention that this weekend, on Saturday, March 19th, the Mini-Con Family Fair. It's a mini Comic Con. It's actually grown. It used to be at Landmark Academy School, and it got so big that we had to move it over to the Bison Ridge Rec Center in Commerce City. So Saturday morning, 10 a.m., got to be lots of vendors, costume contests, cosplay, gaming. I'm going to have a couple Jurassic Park Jeeps out there. Come on out. You can bring the whole family. It's friendly. It's fun. It's totally like a little mini Comic-Con, and it's really enjoyable. Stanley Garcia puts that together. And if you want to get a hold of them, their website is www.nerdsonsermon.com, and you can get more information. But just show up, Bison Ridge. Look it up. Google it. Find where it is. Saturday, 10 a.m. Be there. Have some fun. Thank you for joining us here. Today we're going to try to answer the question, who owns Spider-Man? A simple question, but not a simple answer. There are basically three categories that we're going to talk about. And here is the first category. All right, number one. If Spider-Man appears in a comic book, the comics are under control of Marvel Comics and Disney, the parent company of Marvel Comics. So Disney/Marvel owns the right to all the comics of Spider-Man. Okay, now that we know that, here's number two. Okay, the second one. If Spider-Man appears on film, it's under the control of Sony Pictures. Sony owns the rights to all Spider-Man movies. And finally, the third one. Spider-Man merch. The merchandise is owned and controlled by Marvel Comics and Disney, the parent company of Marvel, and they own the rights to all the Spider-Man merch. Now, that's something that changed recently in the last several years, because originally Sony owned all the merch, but then when Sony Pictures really wanted to get a kickstart going and needed some cash inflow, they sold the rights back to Marvel for the merchandise to help get some cash for them to be able to start doing what they wanted to do. So even though he's Marvel from comics, Sony owns him. But why? What caused this to happen? Why would Marvel bail on selling off one of its own characters? All right, so in 1998, 10 years before Marvel Studios released Iron Man, which came out in 2008, Marvel Comics sold the movie rights to Spider-Man to Sony Pictures. Marvel Comics was keen and to put Spider-Man on the big screen, and at that point in time, it didn't have its own movie studio, so it needed somebody else with a studio to back them and to get their characters on the big screen. So, how good was the deal? I mean, really, if you think about it, is it going to benefit Sony Pictures? Is it going to benefit Marvel Pictures? What kind of deal went into the works here? The deal would grant Sony the opportunity to produce as many Spider Man movies as they wanted to, but there was one stipulation, and that was that they had to make a movie every 5 years. That's why we had so many Spider Man reboots and Spider Man 1, 2, and 3. And we've had different people play Spider Man, and we've got Spider Man this, Spider Man that, Spider Man everything. And it's all because they have to have a movie every 5 years, or Marvel gets the rights back. So, what about all the other Marvel characters that were on the big screen before Marvel Studios came to be? What's the story there? So, in 1998, at that time, Marvel Comics made a number of deals with different movie studios to help put their characters on the big screen. This would include such characters as X-Men, Daredevil, Hulk, Ghost Rider, a couple of others as well. So originally, Sony made the original Spider-Man movies, and then they said, hey, let's get a little help. And this is how they did that. In kind of a weird, unexpected move, a decision was made to work with Marvel. Yeah, Sony actually partnered with Marvel Studios to produce the Spider-Man movies that we see now, and therefore maintaining its association with the character. And deals were made again and again. This time, the deal was a win-win for everybody. In 2015, Sony struck a deal with Marvel Studios Disney that would allow both studios to benefit from Spider-Man. The deal would allow Marvel Studios access to Spider-Man for inclusion in hugely successful movies such as Avengers, things like that. In exchange, Marvel Studios would co-produce Sony's Spider-Man films for them. It was a win-win situation. So now we know the big answer to the very simple question. And it's not just one answer. It's a variety of answers for a variety of different reasons. And the whole thing goes back many, 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 many years. So now the next question is, hey, when can I watch Spider-Man No Way Home on Disney Plus? Because, right, Disney Plus shows all the Marvel movies. So when can I watch it streaming on there? So this is another interesting subject. The film is going to be available for digital purchase. That's right, a digital download on March 22nd. You can own it digitally, like on Vudu or something like that. But you won't be able to buy it on DVD at that time. And it won't be streaming at that time. We have to wait until July to see it streaming. And it's not going to be on one of the big channels. Everybody expected, oh, it's a Marvel movie. It's going to be on Disney Plus, like all the other Marvel movies and Star Wars movies. But no, not exactly, because Sony really owns the rights to it. Sony's able to make the deal with whoever they want to, and they made a deal with Stars. So it will be performing on Stars in July, and it will eventually end up on Disney Plus, they think. There were some talks about that this week to see if it could go to Disney Plus after it's had its run on Stars. Wow, it's going to be on Stars. Okay, so I don't have Stars, but I'll manage to get a copy of it from the digital purchase route type situation. So I will enjoy it that way. But I hope this answers the questions to who owns Spider-Man, because it is a very complex series of answers that all get intertwined together to form the final answer. So again, thank you for watching us on Game Over, and we'll catch you next time.